Hello, everyone. Welcome to your daily tarot reading. Thanks for being here today. I hope that you are doing well, and this reading is for any sun, moon, or rising Virgo. Okay, Virgo, stop. I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now and listen to me. Not in a moment, not after you finish what you were in the middle of, right now. Because what I am about to share with you is something that most people never get to hear, not because it doesn't exist, not because it isn't true, but because the truth of it is uncomfortable in a way that makes people look away rather than look directly at it. And you cannot afford to look away from this. Not tonight. Not when the energy around you is doing what it is doing right now. Not when everything I am feeling in your field is pointing so insistently, so urgently, so undeniably towards something you need to understand about yourself and about the situation you have been living inside of. I have been sitting with your energy for a while now, turning it over, feeling into the different layers of it. And I want to be honest with you, what I found beneath the surface is not what I expected. Because on the surface, your energy tells one story. The story you have been presenting to the world, the version of yourself you have been maintaining, the face you put forward through your days that says everything is manageable, everything is under control, everything is fine. But beneath that surface, in the deeper, quieter, more honest place where the real truth lives, something entirely different has been happening. And that something is what I came here tonight to speak about. Here is the secret, not a secret that belongs to someone else, not information about another person that you were never meant to have, but a secret that has been living inside your own story, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the moment when you were finally ready to see it clearly. The secret is this: you have been significantly underestimating yourself, not in a small way, not in the modest, self-deprecating way that people sometimes underestimate themselves as a form of social grace, in a profound, structural, life-shaping way that has been quietly determining the ceiling of what you allow yourself to reach for, what you believe you deserve, what you accept from the people and the situations in your life. And that underestimation, that deeply embedded, rarely examined belief that you are somehow less than what you actually are, may be the single most consequential thing standing between the life you are living and the life that is genuinely available to you. I told you that you were going to shake, and I meant it, because this is not comfortable information. It would be so much easier if the thing holding you back were external, a person, a circumstance, a run of bad luck, the timing of the universe. Those things are real, and I am not dismissing them. But the deepest obstacle, the one that has been operating beneath all the external ones, is internal. And it has been so close to you, so woven into the fabric of how you see yourself, that you may have never fully recognized it as something separate from you, something that is not you, something that was given to you by experiences, by people, by moments that taught you to make yourself smaller, and that you have been carrying ever since as though it were simply the truth of who you are. It is not the truth of who you are. That is what I need you to hear tonight more than anything else I say. The version of yourself that doubts, that pulls back, that settles, that accepts less than it deserves, that talks itself out of reaching for the thing it actually wants, that version is not the truth of you. It is a layer, a protective layer formed in response to real experiences of pain or rejection or disappointment that has long since calcified into something it was never meant to be. It was meant to protect you temporarily. Instead, it has been defining you permanently. And the energy I am feeling around you right now suggests that something, some force, some internal pressure, some accumulation of the life you have been living is beginning to push against that layer from the inside, beginning to insist that it is time to shed it. For some of you, this is showing up in a relationship. There is a dynamic with a person you love or have loved or have been trying to love in the right circumstances, where the underestimation of yourself has been playing out in ways that may be becoming impossible to ignore. You may have been accepting a quality of treatment, a level of presence, a degree of effort from this person that falls short of what you would advise your closest friend to accept. Not dramatically short, perhaps, not in ways that are obviously wrong or easily named, but consistently, quietly, in the accumulated small moments that tell a truer story than any single event you may have been receiving less than you deserve, and telling yourself that it is enough, telling yourself that this is what love looks like, telling yourself that wanting more makes you demanding or unrealistic or difficult. It does not make you any of those things. Wanting to be fully seen, fully chosen, fully met by the people you give your heart to, that is not too much to ask. That is the minimum. And the fact that it has felt like too much, the fact that asking for it has felt dangerous or presumptuous or likely to push people away, that is the underestimation speaking. That is the layer. And it may be time, it may be well past time to look at that dynamic clearly and decide with full awareness and full self-possession whether it is actually serving the life you want to be living. For others, this is showing up in your relationship with your own potential. There is something you have been thinking about, a direction, a possibility, a version of your life that lights something up in you when you let yourself imagine it fully, that you have been keeping at a careful distance, not ignoring entirely because it is too alive in you to ignore, but not fully pursuing either because something keeps intervening between the wanting and the doing. Something that sounds like practicality, like realism, like the reasonable voice of someone who has learned from experience not to want too loudly or reach too openly. That voice is not wisdom. It is the underestimation dressed in the clothing of wisdom. And the difference matters enormously, because wisdom would tell you to reach carefully and strategically, but it would never tell you not to reach at all. The energy I am feeling around your potential right now is extraordinary. I want to say that clearly because I think you need to hear it from somewhere outside your own head, where the underestimation has had so much airtime. What you are capable of, what you have already demonstrated you are capable of, in the ways you have navigated the difficulty of your recent experience, in the resilience you have shown, in the quality of your thinking and your feeling, and your fundamental way of engaging with the world is not ordinary. It is genuinely not ordinary. And the life that is available to someone with your particular combination of depth and sensitivity and intelligence and strength is not the life that the underestimation has been building. It is something considerably larger, something that would feel, if you allowed yourself to step into it, not like overreaching, but like finally for the first time, standing at your actual full height. Now, I want to speak about what may be shifting because there is movement in your energy that feels significant, and I do not want to speak only about the internal landscape without addressing what seems to be forming in the external one as well. Something seems to be approaching a point of change. A situation that has felt fixed or slow or frustratingly resistant to movement may be softening at its edges in ways that are not yet fully visible but are already being felt. There is a quality in the energy around you that reminds me of the moment just before a lock finally gives, when the key has been turning for a long time, when you have almost given up on it, and then something gives, something yields, something releases, and the door swings open into a space you could not see while it was closed. That opening may be closer than it feels. And the reason I say that with as much confidence as I do is not because I can see the specific form it will take that would be beyond the reach of any honest reading. It is because the internal shift I am describing, the one that involves beginning to see yourself more accurately, more fully, more generously, that shift, when it happens genuinely, tends to have immediate and sometimes startling effects on the external world, because the world responds to how we hold ourselves. It responds to the frequency we carry. And a person who has begun to release the underestimation, who has begun to stand in something closer to the truth of their own worth, sends a different signal into the world than they did before, attracts different responses, opens different conversations, finds that situations which were previously stuck begin almost mysteriously to move. No one can know this secret, not because it is shameful or hidden in some dark sense, but because this is yours. This reckoning, this recognition, this moment of seeing yourself clearly, it does not need an audience. It does not need to be announced or performed or explained to the people around you. It simply needs to happen quietly and completely in the private interior space, where the most important things always happen first. And then it will show itself in the world in its own time, in its own way, without you having to do anything except continue becoming more fully and more honestly yourself. There may be people in your life who have benefited consciously or unconsciously from the underestimation. People for whom your smallness has been convenient, your self-doubt useful, your tendency to accept less than you deserve, a feature rather than a flaw of the dynamic between you. As you begin to change, as the layer begins to shed and the truer version of you begins to take up the space it was always meant to occupy, some of those people may react in ways that feel destabilizing, may push back, subtly or not so subtly, against the version of you that is no longer willing to make itself small. This pushback, if it comes, is information. Treat it as such, because the people who are genuinely for you, who love the real you, not the managed and diminished version, will not be threatened by your expansion. They will be relieved by it. They will rise to meet it. And the ones who cannot meet it are showing you with great clarity and great mercy exactly where they stand. I also want to speak to the timing of all of this, because I feel a quality of urgency in your energy tonight that I want to honor without manufacturing false pressure. The urgency is real, but it is not the urgency of a deadline. It is the urgency of readiness, the urgency of a moment that has been forming for a long time, finally arriving at the point of ripeness. There is something in you that is ready, more ready than it has been before, more ready than it currently feels, because readiness rarely announces itself with the fanfare we imagine it will. It tends instead to be recognized only in retrospect, after the step has been taken, when you look back and realize that you were ready all along and simply needed to move. Move then. Not recklessly, not without discernment, not in a way that abandons the wisdom you have earned through everything you have been through, but move. Let yourself want what you actually want. Let yourself reach for what you actually deserve. Let yourself be seen, truly, fully seen by the people and the situations that are capable of seeing you. Stop managing the distance between yourself and your own life. Stop editing yourself down to a size that feels safer but costs you the full experience of who you are and what is possible for you. The secret was never about someone else. The secret was always about you, about the extraordinary, underestimated, quietly magnificent person who has been living inside the layer for too long and may finally be ready to step out of it. Tonight may be the night that something shifts in how you see yourself. Not completely, not all at once. These things rarely happen all at once. But the beginning of a shift, the first honest look, the first moment of genuine recognition that you have been worth more than you have been accepting, and that the life that is available to you is larger than the one you have been allowing yourself to inhabit. You are going to shake not from fear, but from recognition, from the particular trembling that happens when truth lands in a place that has been waiting for it for a very long time. Let yourself shake. Let it move through you. And then stand up straighter than you did before and walk forward into the version of your life that has been waiting patiently, faithfully, with absolute certainty for you to arrive. If this found you at exactly the right moment, if something here named what you have been carrying and could not quite articulate, trust that. Stay close. Subscribe and come back, because this is a conversation that deserves to continue, and what comes next may be the piece that finally makes everything else make sense.